In the spirit of reconciliation, Grab the Trace acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Welcome to the Grab the Trace podcast, a home design show to help you deliver your next project to its full potential. We're your hosts, Lachlan and Mikaela, and if you're looking for some tips and secrets for your next project, being it building a new home, renovating, or even just picking what window furnishings would best suit your space, we have you covered. Whilst we'll try to help as much as possible, this podcast is of a general nature and won't be able to take into account your individual circumstance. If you need personalised advice, you should engage a relevant professional consultant to help make the best decisions for your situation. This week, we'll be walking you through Laundries and Powder Rooms, so stick around, pull up your plans, and let's grab the trace. Hello everybody, and welcome to our second week of Wet Areas in the Home. Today, it's Laundries and Powder Rooms, and much like our last episode, we'll take you through what they should look like, what decisions need to be made, and what you can do to maximise your space. Mikaela, welcome to Laundry Week.
Oh, thanks.
This week is a bit of a favourite of yours, correct?
It is.
I mean, a lot of these rooms we're doing are favourites of yours.
100%. Wet areas as a general, en-suites, guest en-suites, bathrooms, powder rooms, laundries. Yeah, love it.
It's time to flex some muscle.
Yeah, most functional spaces in the room. Let's go.
Well, this week we have a very special review that we'd like to read out. So, Mikaela, this week you and I were kind of sitting around in the office, I guess yesterday, the day before recording this,
yes.
And you called me over because we received a very, very nice message out of the blue from our friends over at Our Modern Barn Home. Follow them on Instagram. It's GRANERO_build on Instagram. And they said, hey guys, just wanted to drop in and say that I'm really enjoying the content you guys are putting out. I've listened to a few different renovation style podcasts and I struggle when the hosts don't know what they're talking about and interview people who could be giving such great advice, but they just don't hit the mark because they don't realize what questions to ask. I love that you guys provide so many hacks and industry do's and don'ts. It's giving me confidence in decisions we made when designing our place, and still with so much interior detail to work through once we get to that stage, I've taken things on board and built upon what we have. From a fellow industry worker, well done, guys. Isn't that nice?
Oh, it's so nice. That really honestly made my day. So thank you so much.
I did use the opportunity to have a little peruse of their page, and they are going the whole hog on this thing.
It looks incredible.
A little bit of information there about costing as well. They provided some cost updates in terms of how much it costs to get them to the approval stage and then how much it costs them to get, I guess, out of the ground, so to speak. So
that's such a great piece of information.
Yeah, it's a
people don't think
useful
about.
resource to kind of refer to. So once again, guys, check them out. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. House hacks for this week.
All right, can I go first?
Oh my God, you so totally can.
Okay, I'm really excited for this one. This is a beautiful project called House Fin from CJH Studio. It is spectacular. I know I say this every single week, honestly, but this one, the details, it's such a minimalistic, pared back, refined design, but it's all about these details. So this kind of hero shot that I keep referring back to is in this master ensuite. They have a back-to-wall bath, which we mentioned that design last episode, except again, doing it a little bit differently. So instead of our hob baths, this is a back-to-wall bath, but then they've clad that back-to-wall bath in a beautiful Artie Domus Kit Kat tile.
It's stunning.
It is so beautiful, and how they've brought that finger tile or Kit Kat tile up to a certain height and then left the bath top band around the top of the bath, obviously. It looks absolutely incredible. They've used this one stone consistently throughout this design, throughout this home. They've kept it really, really minimal and clean. They've done the same floor tile and wall tile and just let this bath, these finger tiles and this stone shine. It is absolutely beautiful. And then I'm going to upload so many photos of this project because it's how each of those spaces relate to each other that make this project so successful, in my opinion. So the archways, the arch doors, they've got these beautiful formed cabinetry handles that are reflecting that soft curve. The way that they've integrated their finishes, their lighting choice is out of this world.
On point.
Oh, it is spectacular. It is what I would call architectural lighting, 100%. Like, they are just done so beautifully. They're like sculptures or pieces of art on the wall. They've used these same wall lights in the bathrooms and the en-suites. And then again, same materials as well. So even in this kitchen, they have a beautiful soft rounded range hood, and then they've clad it in this same Kit Kat tile. They have a beautiful arched door leading to like a butler's pantry. They've used the same stone on the bench top that they did in the en-suites and the powder rooms. They've got these arched doors everywhere and these fluted glass details, but then they've used that in conjunction with solid doors and the entry doors, but then the laundry. This is an absolute winner for me. So they've used these Artie Domus tiles again as the splashback. They've put it on the rear wall of this laundry. They've returned it on the side just because I'm assuming this laundry sink is a bit too close to the side wall.
Correct.
So I'm usually, again, we're probably going to go into laundry designs, but I'm a huge fan of making sure or ensuring that that sink is moved off at least 200 mil clearance from the side wall, so you don't have to have a stone or a tile, splashback, anything returning on that side. Personally, in my opinion, it just feels like a bad design detail. Like, it could be designed out. You know, when you've got a kitchen splashback, for instance, and they return it on that side wall of the, you know, the island or the return bench, and it's just like, oh, it doesn't line up with the overhead cupboards. It just like stops, and then you see the top of the tiles, like, oh, pet hate, absolute pet hate. Where in this case, they've returned it, but what they've done is they've lined it up with the edge of the overhead cupboards, and then they've done this purposeful, beautiful custom curve, and then they've put a hand towel ring above it and shaped those tiles around that hand towel ring, making it, instead of what I would believe as a design flaw, they've actually made it into a design element worthy
of inclusion as inspiration, Graham.
Yeah, just something that I usually go, oh, that is cringeworthy. Like, I hate when they return that to like, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. I wish I could include that. Like, it's just a stunning, stunning detail. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a few things in this laundry design that I'm not a fan of. Like, it's a semi-recessed Belfast sink, which,
as we said last week, pick a side, don't sit in the middle.
Yep, exactly. Again, water. Or even the position of the mix. Anyway, I'm not here to bash this design. This is shining. This is beautiful.
This is just thoughts on how you, as a user, might take it to the next level.
Yeah, well, it's just, you know, I get inspiration from all these projects as well. So I'm going to be looking at that project and then remember, oh my gosh, if we can't get that sink off that wall and we have to have, a splash protectant, or we're not meeting code, we've got to put something there. That's the way to do it. That's a nice detail that now I'm going to remember and be like, oh, that's beautiful. Instead of it being like a faux pas or something that I don't want seen, I can make it beautiful. This is how you do it. That is the beautiful House Finn by CJH Studio.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mikaela. That was fantastic. Something I have also noticed in those photos as well is it touches back on a tip from a previous episode about high skirtings and how to incorporate that without necessarily blowing out the budget and matching that with your architraves. Have a look at the bedroom detail. You'll know the one we're talking about. Oh,
absolutely. Even how they've done, they might have, you know, you can pick a decorative skirting, but you go, oh, it's, you know, it's a little bit expensive. If I want to be looking at, you know, 230, 300, 400 high skirting, they are expensive. We're not going to deny that. So an alternative to that is doing a 42 or a 60 mil decorative skirting height and then putting a simple baseboard below that. So you might be getting like a 90 mil rectangular profile as your skirting and then placing that decorative skirting on top of it. So it almost looks like it's 230, 300 mil high, but you're just doing that out of simple rectangular profiles and then adding a decorative board on top of it. So little hack there.
Love it. All right. Well,
okay. What's your inspiration this week?
Talking about sitting on the fence, I can't actually pick an individual project that's got a laundry, but what I want to do is I want to bring attention, and I'm sure I'm not probably going to be the first one to bring your attention, the listener, to these guys, but there's a page on Instagram, or there's a little business out there called Zephyr and Stone, and just a little business, just a couple of 100,000 followers. They just put out some of the most beautiful laundry designs.
Functional yet beautiful.
There's one in particular that I'm looking at right now, and it's from what they're calling their contemporary coastal laundry scheme. And it just ticks all the boxes. We've got the washer and dryer under bench. We've got finger pull cupboards, so no handles whacking you in the hip when you're trying to brush past. We've got overhead cupboards, and we've spruced those up by having a finger pull detail, and that's then left us with a clean surface. Instead of handles being there, they've done like a fluted panel on the face of that. Little bit of interest.
Beautiful.
Got a couple of open shelves for your nice kind of storage items you want on display. Yep. And then we've just got an underslung, I guess you would call it a rail, which we might talk about in a little bit, to allow your clothes to dry in there. And it's just so clean and functional and
timeless.
Beautiful. And like there's even I'm even looking through now, there's an image of where they've integrated an LED strip light into the overhead cupboards. It's just everything you could probably want in a laundry.
It's just got all the checklist items, doesn't it? It's like tick, 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 everything's super functional, yet really streamlined and really beautiful.
And if you can make it work with the footprint that they've started with, if you've got more space, you could continue those similar elements on, say, the other side of that galley style laundry, and you could have full height cupboards the whole way. You could have full linen in there,
broom cupboard, mop cupboard, charging, everything.
Stunning. Everybody, that is our Inspiration Gram picks for the week. Let's move on to house hacks.
Yeah, house hacks. Do you want me to go first?
Again? Yes, please.
Okay, great. So my house hack for this week is, again, we're kind of on the topic of laundry, so I thought that'd be a great one. I have actually mentioned, I think I touched on this in a previous episode, but I think I really want to have it in the house hacks because it is, for me, a must-have in everyone's home if you're building or renovating, 100%. A solid core door for your laundry. So what that is going to give you is huge acoustic separation. So we've all been there. We always do the late night laundry wash and we have the dryer going when we go to bed and it keeps everyone up. We don't want that. So solid core door, it's just going to help with acoustics so much. Even if you're like entertaining and you're like, you're still trying to, get everything done on the weekend and you're trying to do all your laundry as well, close that door, have the laundry dryer going. You'll never hear it. Absolutely brilliant.
I think to go on why that's so effective, and I can't quite remember if we touched on it in our door segment when we did our building blocks, but the reason is it's just the density of the door itself. When you buy a semi-hollow core door, the reason they're so cheap is you've got a perimeter frame of timber, and then internally to that, it's just kind of a weaved pattern of cardboard that provides almost like a honeycomb effect in terms of providing a bit of strength and rigidity while keeping weight down. The issue is then the center of that door where it's not as dense, that's where your sound is going to travel through. That's your weak point, essentially. It's not your walls because you might have insulated those for noise. So if you're going and you're taking all those steps to insulate all your walls for noise.
Do a few doors.
Yeah, don't stop there. Like let the door be that kind of final piece in the puzzle.
Yeah. And I find, again, we're going to touch onto it as well, but there are a few cases where I would always do solid. Obviously, our external doors, we went through that on a previous episode. Our laundry door, also our powder room door. For me, I would never do a cavity slider if I can absolutely avoid it. I will always do a hinge door and I will always do a solid core door for my powder room and for my laundry for acoustics.
Agreed.
Your guests will thank you.
They will thank you, or you will not have to pretend you didn't hear them go to the toilet when you're all at dinner.
Okay.
It's now time for mine.
Yeah, what's your house hack? I'm ready.
So I was coming into this with two options, and you jogged my memory of one that I potentially had mentioned in the past as well. I totally wasn't Googling house hacks on Instagram and getting results like, if you put diffusers on, your house will smell nice. That's not a house hack I'm looking for. Laundry related. I've got two I'll drop in because if I don't do it.
Are you doing a me?
It's not a you. Actually, probably 1.5 because you're responsible for half of one of them as well. The first one I'll touch on is if you've got the space, and I'm not talking about necessarily in your cabinetry, but if you've got a generous enough walkway between your laundry bench and then the wall on the opposite side, if you've got a nice clear space of maybe a meter, maybe 1,100, maybe 1,200, a pull-out ironing board is fantastic.
Love that.
Just such an easy addition. I don't think they actually cost too much,
Mhm.
but for something where you just need to do one or two items, you don't want to have to go and pull out. I mean, everyone's got their ironing board stashed away in a cupboard. That's something we touched on previously. No one else is doing what I'm doing and going into the garage to get theirs. Having just that small ironing board you can kind of pull out. It's concealed by cabinetry. As long as you've got enough room to walk around it.
Yeah,
so
you
that
just
way
need
you're not
slight clearance.
100%. That's just going to make life so much easier. And then you pair that with a well-placed power point above the bench height out of your splash zone for your sink.
Please make sure you get those GPOs in. It is so important because I've seen so many times they do these little hacks. They get, their beautiful built-in hampers and they get where they're going to store their ironing board and then they forget to put the power points there and then it's useless.
And we'll talk about it later, but you want a power point under the bench. If you're doing washer and dry under, that's where you want that. And then we want a power point above bench.
Oh, can I do a little hack on that?
You so totally can.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm crashing your hack moment.
No, we're doing 2 each now.
Oh, but when you said the GPOs under bench, instead of just doing those GPOs directly behind on the wall, directly behind where you would be placing your washing machine and dryer, I recommend putting that GPO inside the sink cupboard down the bottom. So what that is going to do is connect our washing machine and our dryer power. We'll feed that through a gable, through the side of the cabinet, and that's where we're going to get our power. But again, what that is going to do is say we have quite a tight laundry bench space. We've only got 600 deep, but we have quite a large condenser dryer or quite, an 11 kilo washing machine, for instance. Those appliances can't be sitting out into that walkway.
That's such a good point.
So what we can do is, because that power is connected to the back of the sink, so we can put that washing machine and dryer flush. We can push it all the way back into the back of that cabinet or provision space so it's not interfering into our walkway.
Love that.
We can also, again, if we're running our power, I always like to, if we're doing a condenser dryer or a heat pump dryer, connect that to the back of the cabinet as well so our water can drain. Same with our washing machine, obviously, as well. So all of those pipes are going into the back of that sink cupboard.
That's such a good point. I don't think we've touched on it yet. If you can avoid it, try not to have what I've got at home, and we will be amending it because Caitlin has given us the green light to go ahead with it. The gooseneck waste from the back of your washing machine into the sink.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try and eliminate that. Let's chop it off at the head.
That's avoidable.
Let's do better, everyone. Let's level up.
Level
Let's get
up.
that real nice seamless bench top going. Now, my other hack, which is something that you and I talked about earlier and you reminded me of, and also something that was on that Zephyr and Stone laundry I was talking about, is when you're looking at your hanging rails. So if you want to do your laundry when it's raining outside but you don't have an indoor clothesline and you want
a clothes
to hang
rail.
them up,
Or drip dry. Dry things.
So what we're going to need is 2 things to make this work. We're going to need a overhead cupboard that allows you enough clearance to hang something.
Mm-hmm. So raise those up. I would recommend, when we're looking at splashback heights for our kitchens or our laundries, you're typically looking at 600 high. For this instance, to be able to drip dry clothes, I always say let's bring that up to 900. But what you can do is have your overhead cupboards down at 600 high clear and then do a little open shelf, just like the Zephyr and Stone that you'll show. Raise those open shelves up to about 900 clear to the underside of that open shelf to the bench height.
And the other reason we're doing this is, say you're going bronze, you're going all out with your hardware. You're picking a color that is very difficult to get a clothes rail to match in. You can just use a single towel rail and fix that sucker upside down into the underside of that open shelf. Have a look around to make sure that there's enough clearance for that towel rail to make sure you can get a coat hanger on there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to introduce a new finish into your area. You can keep it consistent.
Beautiful.
You could have it match your handles in the laundry, and guess what? You're going to walk in there, everything's going to match, because we're also going to be doing potentially a tile insert waste that's going to match as well. That's it. That is your house hacks for this week.
100%.
We're going to smash out a whole bunch more when we're talking about our laundries and our powder rooms.
Mm-hmm.
There's no better time. Let's get into it. Starting with our laundries, and then we'll talk about some powder rooms after. Mikaela, hit it. What is in a laundry?
What is in a laundry? This is the back of house space that I feel has definitely become a priority in the last 5 to 10 years. I've noticed a huge shift in our clients, in our multi-res potential buyers as well. A lot of people are recognizing that laundries are just as important as other key areas in a home. We can't do a cupboard anymore, guys. We're upgrading into full walk-in rooms and spaces. They need to be super functional.
Agreed.
So what is in a laundry? Obviously a sink. Always have to provide running water and drainage, so a sink, a washing machine and a dryer if you're so inclined. These days, people don't necessarily use dryers. That's okay. I use the dryer a lot. I'm guilty. Now, types of washing machines and dryers. With our washing machines, we have our front loaders and our top loaders. We keep going on, and I think we've mentioned it at least 5 or 6 times. We're typically talking about a front-loading washing machine.
Yes.
Meaning that the hinge door is on the front of that appliance, but that allows us to have a bench top over the top. I am very aware that there is a lot of clients out there, my mum included. She was a big fan of top-loading washing machines. I've now converted her to a front loader.
Yes.
The pros of going a top loader is you can usually drip dry items. So you can open the lid at any time during that cycle and add things to it. You can't necessarily do that with a typical front loader, but there are models out there that allow you to do this. The second one is the sheer size. The average washing machine, the largest one you can kind of get to is like 11 kilos, 12 kilos maybe. Top loaders, you can be getting like 15, 20 kilo.
Yeah. Some
Top
commercial
loaders.
stuff.
Yeah. So again, very aware. If you've got 15 kids, 100%, let's just go the top loader and be done with it. Wholeheartedly, I agree. But typically, an average family home, I'd be recommending a front loader. Again, the other pro of going a top loader is people don't like to bend down and have to get wet clothes in and out of that washing machine. For their backs, same thing with appliances. I'm a big fan of stacking microwaves and ovens in kitchens so people don't have to bend down. This is another case as that. However, we can mount that up. We can put it up onto like a lower drawer. We can raise those washing machine and dryers to a more ergonomic height. That is achievable as well. I'll be going into more designs and layouts later on in the episode. However, dryers. There are a few. So our most easily accessible or cheaper kind of dryers are our vented dryers, meaning that it just pumps extremely hot air to dry those clothes. Mm-hmm. So this is where, again, our acoustics. So I would always go and opt for a solid core door. If we're looking at probably the cheaper kind of models for our vented dryers, I'd be opting for acoustics. How do I treat that? We would be looking at great ventilation and exhaust in those spaces. So I would be doing a huge ceiling exhaust, making sure that I would actually link it typically with the general light. So making sure that whoever puts that dryer on has to have the exhaust fan going.
Yeah, it's not an option. It's compulsory.
It's actually not an option at all. It can actually collect a lot more dust and...
Lint?
Lint.
Is that the word?
It
lint?
is. It's got a lint filter, so
not
yes.
The chocolate, the bad one.
The bad lint. So that's just, again, something to think about. The other two types of dryers are condenser dryers and heat pump dryers. So heat pump dryers typically heat your clothes at a lower temperature. That's just going to better protect your clothes. And a condenser dryer is usually quicker, but it's not as efficient or environmentally friendly, I would say. Both of those, we just have to be mindful as well that heat pump dryers and condenser dryers are very, very, very heavy. So they cannot be wall mounted like your vented dryers.
Yes.
And if you do mount them up on like drawers or some sort of storage, they have to be very sturdy. So just something, again, to consider. So they're our 3 kind of dryer types. The pros, I think, of a heat pump or a condenser dryer is just the sheer size. Again, they're a lot heavier, but typically they're a lot larger. So we can get, 9, 10, 11 kilo heat pump dryers or condenser dryers. What else is like an essential in a laundry for me?
Can I throw out another one?
Oh,
There
yeah.
is, and it's not something that we would recommend, but much like...
Are you talking about the combined?
Much like corner showers, there is occasionally a use case where it is an option. I've got one. And the issue with it is you're kind of compromising on the benefits of them, because a washing machine washes clothes really well. That's its job. And a dryer dries them. That's its job. When you merge them, you kind of lose some of the benefits.
The pros of both.
Yeah. And I mean, to be honest, the only reason we've got a combined one is just for that occasion where it is raining outside, because we've got quite a small laundry, and having the dryer above bench wasn't really cutting it for us. It wasn't an amazing outcome, just for noise. That's why we're pushing so hard for underbench, because if you can avoid that problem from the start, then the space that the dryer has above bench, that's storage now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, reap the benefits.
100%. My only note on a combined washer and dryer as well is just something to consider. Again, there is a place for most appliances. There's a reason why they exist. This one I'm obsessed with for very small apartments, or I'm thinking like London, Europe, where they do the washing machine and dryer in the kitchen. Yeah. I'd rather have a combined than not have a dryer at all.
Correct.
So in that case, 100%, just please be mindful that yes, you might be saving space, but time at the end of the day.
And that's the biggest thing. It
functionality,
blows out.
yeah.
It takes our quick wash. This may be just due to the type we've got. And Caitlin, you'll love this listening at home. The quick wash says it takes 15 minutes.
It takes half an hour to do the...
It stays on 1 minute for about 15 minutes itself. Just something to keep in mind that a pure washer and a pure dryer will give you a better outcome than a combined, with the downside of you just needing a little bit more space.
Yeah.
So if we can design that space in at the start on paper,
do it right the first time.
You'll thank
100%.
us.
Just on that as well, I have designed a space where a client already had a combined washer and dryer, and they were very particular about keeping it. The only issue with that as well is they had like three young kids. They've just gone through all the newborn phase and having to obviously clean all those newborn and wash all those newborn clothes.
Oh my God, so many times.
But the issue is you can't put on, you wash a load and then you put it in the dryer and then you do the next load. You have to wait.
There's no efficiency.
There's no efficiency.
You can't stagger it. It's a full day affair.
Yeah, literally.
That's
only con.
Yeah, those would be the three types, I guess, of white good that you could see. I mean, there's other ones we'll talk about. Like you can get some.
Oh, can I talk about the butlers?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please. I was just about to mention this.
Oh, so this is beyond. Like, this is on my dream list. It's never going to happen.
If you're listening to this podcast and you've got one of these, please invite us over.
Yeah.
We would love to come and
please just take a photo of it.
You might have the nicest laundry
You're
we've
the bee's
ever
knees.
talked about.
So, again, the one that I'm kind of talking about is from a company called VZUG, Drool Fest. So this is like crazy. It's ridiculous, I know. However, it's called like the Refresh Butler. Oh, this is like a dry cleaning store in your house. It looks like a fridge, like it's a tall unit. It looks like a fridge. They are quite large. I'm not going to lie. They do take up a lot of space. However, I've seen them being put into like walk-in linens. I've seen them being put into walk-in wardrobes. But what this unit or appliance does is you can put all your clothes on hangers. You put it into this like almost like fridge-like contraption, and it literally like steam cleans, irons, dry cleans your clothes for you. So I'm talking about, those people who are wearing a suit Monday to Friday, they're going out to balls and wearing gowns. This is for you. This is for, your beautiful designer clothes that you don't want damaged, that you don't want to be sending to the dry cleaners are expensive, but then you don't want to damage your clothes and ruin them. This product is for you. So that's our Butler Refresh.
I've just had a look on one of the websites we use to look at white goods, winning appliances.
Yes.
The VZUG, oh my goodness. Those playing along at home, you can do a little bit of prices right. I'll give you 2 seconds to answer, and you have to answer. Like you can't just sit there and go, oh wow, that's the amount.
Mm-hmm.
The VZUG Refresh Butler Black. So as you're saying, it's about the size of a fridge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a personal dry cleaner.
Yeah.
That is how much money? $30,000. However, I'm looking at one from Samsung. So Samsung,
LG have one as well.
Yeah, there's one here from Samsung called the White Air Dresser, and it is a smaller appliance, but that is only $2,800. So that is attainable, everybody. It looks like there's space for 3 hanging garments and then 2 pants, 2 like pant clips, and even a spot down the bottom for some shoes.
Oh my gosh, sorry. I've been looking at VZUG the whole time.
Looks like someone's spending their tax return on a professional butler thing.
Oh, there we go. You know what, guys? This is achievable. This is attainable, 100%. And I know LG do one as well. Again, the LG one is kind of the same size as the VZUG. It's quite large.
Everyone, if we're known for making bold stances, this is one of them. If when you get to the end of your project, you are the unicorn of project like owners or builders, and you get to the end and you're like, gee, everything came in under budget and I've got exactly a spare $2,800. I fully endorse, I fully rate getting one of these.
Oh, it will save you so much time. It will look after your clothes.
You never have to go to the dry cleaner anymore. You can get If you've got people at work, they can give you their garments to dry clean for cheap. You can pay this sucker off in maybe 3 years.
For all those people out there, I'm not going to say women, but for all those people out there who do non-stop ironing, imagine for $2,800. For me, that is 100%. That's a worthy investment to never have to iron again.
The days of having a white linen shirt, putting it on the coat hanger in your shower space to try and let the steam do its magic. Be gone.
Be gone.
Be gone.
Here is the product for you. Okay, I feel like we've digressed.
That is white goods in a laundries, everybody. You can thank us later. That's it. So what else is in a laundry? Storage. We talked about storage. We've got below bench, above bench.
Yep. So open shelves, obviously cupboards. We have walk-in linens, usually adjoining or within a within a laundry. We have the pull-out hampers that I mentioned before. Now, not only one, but I'm a sucker for 2 laundry hampers, if you can fit it.
What?
Yeah, we're talking luxury here. If we've got unlimited space, if I'm designing a home and I'm starting with the laundry and we're making that as efficient and huge as possible, let's go 2. Let's go a darks and a lights pull-out hamper. Let's be bougie. So we've got that. We have our Lockie's tip, house hack, was the pull-out ironing board. Again, amazing. Love that. I also like in a kitchen, you have like an appliance cupboard. I'm all for that in a laundry as well, but for our garment steamers and our irons and our washing baskets that we don't just want to be sitting on the bench. We want to tuck that away and hide it because we want something ergonomic, but it's not necessarily pretty. Tuck it away in a cupboard, you'll never see it, but it's super practical, super functional.
Potentially, this is where your charging back station lives as well.
100%.
If you've got a full height cupboard in here.
Yep. And I did mention like that charging dock kind of station for the handheld or like cord-free vacuums. I'm all for, look, I'm not going to lie, I have 3 vacuum cleaners in my house. So I know.
I'm shocked. I cannot possibly believe that.
It. So we've got obviously the good old Dyson like handheld.
Yep, the stick.
Yep. But then we've got the Beast.
The Beast, the rolly ball?
Yeah. The Beast rollerball one. That's the one that's going to like suck up everything and do a better job. The other one's just for like whipping around.
Oh, you got a Duster Buster.
A Duster Buster, yeah. So I've got handheld, I've got the stick, and then I've got like the bee's knees.
I love that.
Again, all of this. We need a pretty big cupboard for all of these things. Then I've got like steam mops, normal mops. Then we've got brooms, outdoor brooms, indoor brooms, mop buckets. Honestly, it's actually endless. Cupboard for all of those bee's knees products. And, what else? Our drip drying station, I always like, again, the clothes rail, either over the sink or separated like the Zephyr and Stone image. Both of those, great. I always like a cupboard that you can fit a clothes area in, or you can actually get integrated like pull out clothes areas that attach to the opposite side of the room. You can do that. Again, Queensland, like we have such a bright, sunny, hot climate that we probably don't need those, but this is like great for UK or maybe down in Victoria or Tasmania would be great. Somewhere where you're getting obviously a lot more rain and it's a lot colder temperatures. 100% you can set up an indoor clothesline. If we are raising up our washing machine and our dryers to get them a bit more ergonomic, I always find I talked about like putting it almost on like a cabinetry platform. I always like to do like, yes, storage, but then I like to do these pull-out drawers where they're not actually a drawer. It's kind of like a pull-out shelf almost, but that shelf is super, super strong and super rigid. So it's directly kind of underneath your washing machine and the dryer. You pull it out and then you can put your hamper on top of that.
Oh, yeah.
Or so your clothes basket like on top of that. And then you're not holding a hamper or a basket and then trying to grab all of your wet clothes out of your washing machine and then transferring it in. We want to save you back. That's why we've raised all these appliances. Let's put in that rigid shelf directly underneath those appliances, pop the basket on, and then that's doing all the hard work for you, not having to hold that wet basket up. That's a big tip or a hack that I like to include.
I love that. You know what? Let's move on to the fixtures and finishes side of things.
Yeah, like let's do it.
How are we dressing this space? So as we mentioned earlier, you can have a little bit of fun with your cabinetry.
Mm-hmm.
The cabinetry and the laundry. Is there anything in particular you need to be careful of in terms of maybe the finish of that cabinetry?
So I'm a big fan of, and maybe a bit controversial, but again, it comes to clients and tastes as well as maintenance levels. So every client or every home I find is going to have a personal maintenance level. If someone's willing to vacuum their plush carpet into a direction every day, by all means, let's do it. If someone's willing to clean or keep caring for, solid timber cabinetry or timber floors, and they're not minding them if they want black Japan floors and they don't mind a gloss, they want a high gloss finish. Guess what? You're going to get footprints and you're going to have to clean that. Same thing with our materials in our laundry. I'd be more inclined to go a reconstituted stone, meaning that it's a granite composite, it's heat proof, scratch proof. You're going to buy a slab, in 10 years' time, it's going to look identical.
Yes. Yeah.
Natural stone, again, the beauty of natural stone, in my opinion, is the timeless aging properties that is going to give you. I like when you get wear and tear and chips. That doesn't bother me, but that's my personal choice. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. So again, I would gauge your maintenance level and what you're comfortable with. In a laundry, I would actually be so inclined. To me, natural stone is so easy to keep clean in a laundry. A kitchen, when you're using turmeric or coloured
you're using all those
red
11
wine.
herbs and spices.
Yeah, the worst chemical or probably the highest maintenance thing that you're doing in your laundry is maybe boot or shoe polish.
Yeah.
Maybe that. Or if you're honestly dyeing your hair, maybe.
That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe again, washing the dogs, but I don't know. The worst chemical, bleach. But bleach is fantastic for a natural stone. That's what the professionals use to get stains out.
Yeah. In terms of cabinetry, do you have to go, can you just do your...
Oh, actually, that's a good one. Cabinetry, if you were doing thermolaminate, so again, I don't know if we haven't gone into kitchens yet, so I haven't really kind of gone into MDF or laminate properties or their pros and cons, but just a very, very quick brief overview. You have a melamine product. So when you think of companies like Laminex, Polytech, Formica, those companies are an MDF board with a melamine finish to that, meaning it's kind of got a plastic coating almost to an MDF baseboard. Then you're going up to a thermolaminate, so it's a little bit more expensive, but what you can do is get profiles and shapes on those doors, but technically it is an MDF or composite board that's kind of vinyl wrapped in a plastic coating or a hard-wearing coating. However, the negatives to a thermolaminate is that on the edging, the same thing can happen with laminate as well. So on the edging of all of those boards, where your finger pull is, or the edging of those profiles that you've just put in for your thermolaminate, they can actually wear and start pulling away.
Yeah.
So in areas like your kitchen overhead cupboards above your cooktop or above your oven or above your microwave, areas that are going to get hot or have heat or steam, they can peel away a lot easier. So again, when we're thinking of our vented dryer, overhead cupboards above our dryer, cabinetry surrounding our dryers, just have to be mindful that there is a lot of moisture in the air. Again, something to be mindful of. I would be more inclined to push the budget a little bit and invest into 2-pack cabinetry. So that's probably our most hard wearing compared to, again, even solid timber or timber veneer that has properties in it that, again, doesn't really like moisture. We don't want to swell that timber. 2-pack would kind of be my go-to. Or I would just be very, very mindful doing a thermolaminate in a profile in the laundry. I would just go to a straight melamine board.
Yep, agreed.
Yep.
Okay. Same, I get...
stone?
You go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We went to stone, touched on cabinetry.
Touched on stone in terms of, so you would, I guess, something to talk on stone and something to talk about cabinetry as well.
Or a little,
in a laundry, how deep do you want that bench to be, ideally?
Ideally.
Keeping in mind we were talking about some appliances being deeper than others.
Yeah,
earlier.
so I always aim for 700 deep. And I'm sure Lockie can contest that every time I go around to all the architects, I'm like, 700 deep for all laundries, just to give that little bit of allowance. I want to give people flexibility in terms of if you do a minimum kind of 600, which is a standard, don't get me wrong, but that means that you can't really go up to those larger appliances. So we're still looking at our, maybe 7 to 9 kilo, but as soon as we got to our 10 kilo or 11 kilo, we've just kind of lost that ability. You're going to have your appliances butting into that walkway. Usually in a multi-res, when we're kind of a little bit space poor, we're going to be providing the smallest, efficient and functional, but the smallest laundries, because we'd rather give that space back to the living or the kitchen or hallways. So I will always aim for, I know you touched on, bench, a meter's kind of standard. I have... Personally, in my laundry, I designed a 1400, and to me, I would have liked to go a little bit wider, personally. So it's just when you're opening
when you've got that door open 90 degrees.
Yeah, or when you're opening your washing machine and dryer doors, and I've really annoyingly got my washing machine on the right-hand side and then the dryer next to it on the left-hand side, but they're both right-hinged doors. So
you can't just kind of do a little tiny U. You have to fully reach around.
Yeah, I've got to empty the washing machine, then close the door of the washing machine and then scoot the basket over and then open the dryer. I can't have the two doors and just, put everything in the basket and then put everything directly into the dryer. So again, first world problems here, but if I had that extra 100, 200 mil, it'd be fine. I could just shuffle back and that wouldn't be an issue.
Agreed.
Yeah, small things. So that's clearances. We touched on cabinetry. We touched on stone.
With our tiles are most likely going to be our floor finish in here.
Yep.
Similar kind of rules to bathrooms.
Yes.
You may not want to go fully tiled on the wall. You can just do a skirting tile.
Yep. Yeah, no.
For your skirting tile, let's start here. For your skirting tile, your preference is usually just to continue the floor tile up?
Yes, 100%. Again, depending on, don't get me wrong, if you're choosing like a beautiful terrazzo floor or, we're talking like Fibonacci, if you're doing, out there pink floors, you don't necessarily want that up on your wall as well.
Yeah, let's limit that.
Yeah, then I would be opting for a really, really simple like 3x6 white tile and keep it really, really minimal, especially if you've got like white walls. White skirting tile, it just blends in. Absolutely fine. And then keep all that pattern, especially like in more Hampton style as well, when they do the beautiful like decorative pattern tile. You kind of don't really want that carrying up on the wall. It's a bit odd. Probably be more inclined to just keep that pattern on the ground and just doing a really, really simple skirting tile in like a white, and then we'll match the wall. You won't even notice it. Keep that pattern and that decorative element just to the floor. In terms of tile formats and sizes, very, very similar to our bathroom. So we want it to be non-slip. So we're not doing gloss tiles here. We're doing either a matte finish or even an external finish or natural stone. You could do a honed or a tumbled finish, no problem at all. We're doing our tile insert wastes because we need drainage in these areas.
With the floor tile, so you mentioned you want as grippy as possible, I guess, to use that as a word.
Vented dries, we've got a lot of moisture, we've got steam.
Yeah, or say heaven forbid your washing machine overflows because it hasn't been cleaned properly and you've got that soapy water there. Give yourself every opportunity not to fall over.
100%.
Because slips and falls are one of the biggest issues in, I guess, the building industry.
I'm all for matte and honed finishes across the board with every finish. So timber floors, I'll be going an oiled or a matte finish. I won't be going a lacquer or high polish. Floors, I don't think I've even specified a gloss tile or a glazed tile unless it's maybe like a feature mosaic, but all floor finishes to me should be honed and matte. And our bench tops as well, I will rarely recommend or specify a polished stone bench top. I'll always be more inclined to go a honed or a matte. Even in our recon finishes, I'd be more inclined to go like the rough or the honed finish in those. Just again, for maintenance, as soon as you like wipe a bench down and it goes shiny, you can see all your like smear marks.
Yeah.
Not into that at all.
Just hide the imperfections.
Yeah.
You're never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So why bring attention to it?
Exactly.
So let's do that.
Sorry, just on finishes.
No, go ahead.
I forgot. Oh, I did forget actually, just on our like bench tops and splashbacks, a little hack as well. Everyone keeps thinking like, okay, 600 high splashback. And that's where we start like our overhead cupboards to give us a little bit of relaxation so we're not hitting our head.
That's not a rule, is it?
No, it's not
like a kitchen where you've got a range hood to work with.
Exactly. And again, we'll touch on this in kitchen. I don't even want to get into kitchens, episodes upon episodes just on kitchens. But in terms of laundries, there is no clearance restriction. So I'm only suggesting 600 high to mount our overhead cupboards because that's for our head clearance to use our sink. We don't want to be head-butting the overhead cupboards. We want to be recessing those cupboards to, maximum 400 deep. 350 deep is probably more ideal. But with the splashback and the bench top, so we've got 700 deep because we've gone for optimal depth. We've gone 700 deep. On our splashbacks, we could actually, if we do want to invest, spend a little bit of money or we have a feature stone, I'd be more inclined to go quite a cost-effective bench top and just do a recon in a solid white or keep it quite easy to keep clean, then do our feature stone on our splashback.
Nice.
Invest in that. Get some, where people would put a feature mosaic or a tile, why not do natural stone and let the stone sing?
You could do grout to clean.
Exactly, it's seamless, but again, I would bring our cost down by reducing the height of that splashback. So I would do, a 200 or a 250 high little stone return. And then that's just
goodness. Could
a
we
little
potentially
beauty.
even introduce the little
Nib
shelf we were talking about for our kitchen.
You know, I'm a sucker for a nib. So yes, of course, I would do that nib wall, do a, nib wall at 1200 high, have a 300 return.
You could have all your soaps up there. You could have your brush.
Big fan. And then again, that's just a way to either seamlessly integrate our feature stone bench tops up into our nib wall, or we can just highlight that nib wall with our beautiful stone. Or you could even just do a beautiful tile on that nib wall and just a stone top on top of that. And then, best of both worlds.
Now, we talked about this earlier. With our power for our appliances, we want those under bench, potentially in the back of a cabinet, if you can afford that, or if you can get that to work. And then we also want one above bench where we can get that to work as well in terms of it being clear of your wet areas in that laundry, like your sink and your washing machine. So
usually the opposite side to the sink. So if you have sink and then washer dryer, you pull out hamper or something beside that, above that.
Agreed. And so then we said lighting.
Yep.
I mean, you can do a feature sconce potentially.
Oh, a beautiful wall light where those open shelves are. Stunning.
We've got some LED strip lights potentially integrated into our overhead cabinetry as well.
Stunning.
We've got just some general down lights. Do you think a 3-in-1's too much for a laundry?
Yeah, we don't really need heat.
No, we don't need the heat.
We just need a kick-ass exhaust.
Yeah, so get an exhaust. Invest in the exhaust.
Yep.
I would recommend that. Get the largest one you can.
Yep. I would always recommend to our clients or anyone out there going for a condenser or a heat pump dryer, just to reduce that steam and condensation in that space. I would always recommend that, but still get that exhaust in there because that's going to be beneficial regardless of what appliances you go with.
Beautiful.
Skylights?
Oh my God, we can include skylights as well. The final thing, U-shaped laundries are sometimes an option as well.
I have done a pretty boss U-shaped laundry, but this had like an island in the middle.
What?
Yeah. So this was like a huge U-shape. They had like a TV in here. This was the bee's knees of laundries. This was like, she spent so much time in the laundry. She actually had a, what is it called? Like a exercise.
Cross trainer.
Yeah, she had a cross trainer in there and a TV.
I love that to death.
Yeah. So it was like
a home gym slash laundry.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah, and then you walked through this like walk-through linen.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. Would you sacrifice a big U-shaped laundry to have a rectangular laundry with a walk-in linen attached to it to form that squared up space?
Oh, yeah.
Because then
again, it's massive personal preference. Like, I would personally go for linen store or like a walk-in linen. I'm, again, a big fan when it comes to wardrobes as well. Instead of a big long bank of cupboards with hinge doors and whatever. And yes, they can look beautiful. I'd still prefer half the size but have a walk-in or step-in room, because to me it's like you can just fit so much on like the overhead shelves and like on the floor, like all your shoes and everything. Same with the linen. It's like all the stuff that like, again, my sister's gone through and she's got this incredible like walk-in linen attached to her laundry. It's incredible, but she's got like all of her old baby gear. Like, where do you put the old car seats? And
that's a good point.
All the
to the roof space we go.
Yeah, like it's all those little things like the old pram and like it's just the big bulky stuff that you can't fit in the the IKEA ski
jackets
robes.
Going.
Yeah, it's just the go-to, place it all in there. It's too big and bulky, but you don't necessarily have like an under the house or a garage to fully fit out.
Yep, agreed.
This is where you put it.
Now, before we move on from laundries and get into powder rooms, and I know we're getting a little bit long in the episode, everyone, and you're probably thinking to yourself, geez, they haven't touched on powder rooms yet. They're going to stretch it out into a second part. No, we're going to do it within this one because we touched on most of the principles last week. So all we're doing is just giving you kind of tailored information.
Tailored hints and tips just for those spaces.
But you and I were speaking before, and there is one accessory we've forgotten in the laundry that you are an enormous fan of.
Huge.
Take it away.
Rope hooks. What's wrong with me? I've got these in my own laundry and I love it sick. So I have a blank wall opposite like my bench top space. And honestly, yes, the clothes rail underneath the overhead cupboards is amazing for like drip drying and things. But once I iron them, I like stack them on these rope hooks.
Yeah.
And it's like all they're good to go. A rope hook is great for like, I've got a garment steamer as well instead of just doing all ironing. So I put it on a clothes hanger, pop it on the rope hook, and then I use that to obviously hold up my clothes while I like garment steam them.
I guess
easy.
the other advantage is with that clothes rail that we're talking about above your bench top, essentially, unless you're able to have that really high up, if you've got really long hanging stuff, that's going to be scraping the top of your bench top. So if you've got a rope hook, you can put that up at 1800 or something. Yeah. You've got all of that drop to play with. Something else I want to touch on. What are your thoughts on hand towel hooks?
Oh, amazing. Yes, 100%. If you've got the wall space, do you know how many times you're drip drying or you're cleaning things, or you just need to literally just dry your hands? Like,
you get like that kind of really slippery nappy sand gunk on your hands.
Yep,
oh my goodness.
And like, even I send like Brock, if we've had like a big renovation day and I'm like, go to the laundry, clean yourself off. That's where that goes.
Love it. Well, everybody, that's laundries. Put a bow on that for now. We will be back to talk about potentially specific things about it.
Yep.
Something I was thinking we could potentially do in the future is really do a deep dive into washing machines.
Oh,
so if you're out there, like, this isn't just a home
goods.
design show in terms of this is the space for it, but we want to kind of give you the best information possible when you're making these decisions as well. Like, we can do almost like a little shootout between the heat pump dryer, the condenser dryer, and just a regular one, I guess.
Vented.
Thank you.
Vented dryers.
And we can kind of really get into the nitty gritty about if you're on the fence about what decision to make.
Oh, 100%.
Let us try and fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and we've done, like, how many projects have we done where I've specified, I think, every single brand there is under the sun, and they all have their place, they all have their budgets.
Yep, and we've got the feedback.
There is an appliance for you, 100%.
Love it. We're now going to slide over and we're going to talk about powder rooms.
Here we go.
So as I was saying, we did touch on it briefly last week when we were talking about our toilet provisions in bathrooms.
Yep.
The difference is this toilet is separate. It's in its own separate room. And correct me if I'm wrong, for it to be classified as a powder room, it needs its own basin? Or can you... Yeah. Because
so there's a difference between a separate WC, or water closet for those at home. A separate WC, usually connected with, like, I like to find, like, the family bathrooms usually have basin, shower, bath, and then it's got the separate toilet, like, just around the corner. But then every time you wash your hands, you still have to use that main bathroom.
And in an earlier episode, if you remember, if you remember in an earlier episode when I was beating myself up over some things we weren't, I guess in hindsight, we weren't too happy about.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing.
The one thing that we definitely can take pride in kind of at least making that amendment was putting that sink in that washroom.
Yeah. Oh, it makes such a difference.
Yeah. It's not huge. It's just this little tiny Caroma. Was it the Luna?
The Luna.
And
Luna
it's tiny, guys. It makes entertaining a lot easier.
It's just so functional, and I'm here for function, 100%.
When our home transitions into a family home, I'm already just waiting for my teenage kids when they're coming out raging at each other.
I can't. Billy's in the bathroom.
We will never have that argument. We will never have that argument of like, I can't brush my teeth because they're on the toilet. It's done. They've got their own.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's separated.
It's fine. You're just going to have the arguments about wanting to use the bathroom.
Something that could be interesting for those playing along at home, I can even give you some advice. I mean, at least from our point of view, when we built how much that cost us. It was, and for something that wasn't too much of a change, it kind of did cost a bit of money. It was all up $1,400 to add this on.
That's great. Oh, that's actually not...
That's not too bad?
No. But
this was while they were building it. All they had to do was...
as a variation.
Yeah, as a variation to our design. In terms of what we got, I think there was $250 as an admin fee for the variation. There was a little bit more in terms of timber because instead of being a 900 wide room, it went to being like 1250.
Yeah, worth it.
The cost of the basin itself was probably like $200-300 probably. The tapware maybe $100. It wasn't anything too fancy. Yeah, bottle trap, little bit of splash tile, and then just a fixed mirror.
Perfect.
So that all up was about $1,400.
I think that's 100% worth it.
You might not be, because the thing we had to sacrifice was our linen cupboard went from being double door down to single door. So we lost about 250 mil from our linen cupboard, and it is.
You know what? I still think worth it.
Okay.
You've still got a linen cupboard. You didn't remove an entire linen. Yeah, worth it for a separate powder room. Love that.
Yep.
Okay.
As we're saying, we're welcome to powder rooms.
Yeah. can I add a little bit of controversial chat
goodness.
on the...
You're so controversial today.
I am.
You're just looking for a fight left, right, and
Keep it.
centre.
I just want to say, I might say something controversial in case someone comes back and you're like, you're a fool.
I
I've
want to
covered
say
myself.
something controversial, everybody. I love Christmas time. I don't care what you say.
Exactly.
A really bold stance.
Bold stance. Okay, it's not even controversial. It might just be like flippant. But in my house in particular, we've got a bathroom with bath, shower, basin, and then we have the old separate toilet with its own basin. So it works as a powder room, but it's the only toilet for that main bathroom space. But then our master ensuite. Now, I know I cop slack from the other interior designers at our workplace. Courtney, thank you.
Hey, Courtney.
Hey,
Hey,
Courtney.
Katie. How you going?
They think it's ridiculous. But in my master ensuite, I have a vanity and a shower in one space. I have, obviously, my bedroom with its own door and access. Then I have a walk-in robe with its own access. And then I have a corridor with a separate powder room in my master ensuite, which it doesn't sound crazy when I think about it. Like having a separate toilet, like everyone in their master ensuite, even our clients, all of our projects, we try and give a separate toilet. I just have a separate toilet with a basin off a hallway.
Yeah.
So it's just really separating those spaces. But providing that basin, it's super skinny. It's a tiny little basin. It doesn't need to be huge. It's just so, again, me and my partner, we can use our toilet separately, wash hands, and it's completely independent from the master ensuite.
Yeah, this is probably just more from a germaphobe thing. But you can minimize the surfaces you're touching between going to the toilet and then washing your hands.
Okay, that is a full germaphobe comment.
Well, like instead of like going to the toilet and then having to open the door to the toilet to go back out, if you've got a separate toilet, you're minimizing the steps.
Yeah, sure.
I would have thought you'd be full on with that. I'm so shocked.
Well, I'm a clean freak, so
you wear gloves. That's
I wear
fine.
gloves.
Yeah.
Whenever I enter my house, I wear gloves. No,
I'm actually wearing gloves right now, and I have to wear socks inside.
You are not. So I always find with a master ensuite, you know, I touched on it before in bathrooms where some people find like a bath is their relaxation. For me, I'm a shower gal. That's why I have a seat in the shower, a skylight. That's my retreat. So for me, having a toilet in the master ensuite,
it takes away.
That's bringing down my spa vibes, you know? So having that separate toilet.
I'm so here for this. I love this.
It sounds so extra when I say it, but honestly, it's just a wall. Like, it's not. It's not, I swear. It's essential.
Rate that.
Thank you.
Even to the point where if you do have a toilet within your bathroom, I think we've done this quite a lot. I would still even recommend putting that behind a door in the bathroom as well.
I love it. Separate toilet.
Fully hide
separate toilet.
Benefits include acoustics.
Yep.
You
Smell.
don't have to look at it, especially the ones where you walk in and then you can see it in the reflection of your vanity. I have that in my home. Yep. It's fine. But it's something that you'll look at once you've had a taste of the other life.
Yeah, you can't go back.
Yeah.
I always find
so we're sorry for ruining everyone listening.
Well, it's just when you've got this beautiful, like, say, your freestanding bath and you've, like, set it up and it's bubble bath and you've got all your wine, your candles are going, and then it's like, bam, my view is a toilet.
Look at the throne.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm all for separating the toilet out of every bathroom. Be that main bathroom, ensuite, guest ensuite, it's fine. Let's just...
Agreed.
I don't want to say it.
Let's move.
Fair.
Let's motor. Let's motor now.
Powder rooms.
Powder rooms. So I guess most of the things we talked about last week still apply. What's in a powder room, I think we've already touched on. So we need a sink for it to be a powder room and a toilet for it to be a powder room.
Yep.
And
mirror.
Mirror.
I always include a mirror. So many people don't. In terms of finishes... We've kind of touched on inclusions. In terms of finishes, very, very similar to our laundry. So I would always opt for honed finish, matte finish, flooring, a skirting tile. We don't need to include full height wall tiles here. And a little tip as well. Personally, I love a full tiled wall or a nib wall. I love a nib wall behind the actual toilet suite. And then to clad that nib wall in a tile or a VJ board. Because for the gentlemen, all the kids out there, male, boy kids to be exact, I clean toilets and the yellow stain behind your toilet, boys miss, and it's gross, and it's not a public toilet here, but it's going to happen. And I'm so sick of cleaning the walls around toilets and it goes yellow. That's not dust, guys. Men are disgusting. So I recommend just tile it. Just tile the wall behind your toilet. You can thank me later.
Don't do a white grout.
Don't do a white ground. Going on from our tiled wall behind our toilet for cleanliness and hygiene. I have done it. I have done it in multiple projects, actually. A lot of client requests. Urinals in a powder room and in bathrooms.
No.
It is.
In a residential setting?
Residential. It
No.
has been requested. When one of my clients had 3 boys, 3 sons, and they'd rather a urinal, so we put in a urinal. They wanted it. They had a toilet and a urinal. It was a big enough powder room that you had like a big basin and then a toilet that faced the urinal.
What kind of a flusher was it? Was it a sensor or was it like one of the ones with the cistern pool thing?
No, it was a button.
Do you specify like the cakes they put in the urinals?
No. Oh.
Like, what's the world of urinals like? Is it like fancy?
It was a Villeroy and Boch. Yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was like a fancy urinal.
All right, everyone, go and do some homework. Look up some
No,
urinals.
please don't. Don't look it up. We're not putting it in.
Actually, something else, bidets. Like if you want a freestanding bidet.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that in our
Could
previous
also be
episode.
In a powder room, though.
Could be in a powder room. I'd be more inclined, like for all those European gals and guys out there,
Yes.
I'd be more inclined to do like a Toto toilet seat or like an integrated bidet. You can actually, now I keep saying Toto because it's
a brand.
It's a brand, but it's also kind of the most commonly used or known integrated bidet toilets that have been around for a long time. Nowadays, you can get toilets all integrated with integrated bidets. So if you're so inclined, I'd rather do a fully integrated toilet and bidet in one than have a whole nother space that you need to have clearance for. You need to include costings as well. It's probably cheaper just to get the integrated. Urinal, absolutely not. I just mentioned it because we have done it, but please don't make it feel like a commercial toilet.
It's never even crossed my mind. And now, unfortunately, now that you've mentioned it, I'm going to be under pressure in a meeting and it's going to just come out and they're going to be like,
what about a urinal?
Genius.
No,
that's genius.
Never. I shouldn't have said it.
A room for the fellas. Strong stance of the podcast once again.
Mm-hmm.
We've called out some really, really good ones in the past, like if you can avoid it, no cavity sliders, no barn doors. The newest strong opinion of the show.
No urinals.
No urinals, guys.
Absolutely not.
Let's keep them out. I love that so much. Layout options.
Layout. Here we go.
Mikaela, when you walk into a powder room, what is the first thing you should see?
It's not about what you should see. It's about what you shouldn't see. So again, we keep coming back to, I mentioned in previous episodes about cavity sliders. It's a no-no. It's a no-no in a powder room at all. They always say, oh no, to get the door swing to work, it's not going to happen. We have to put a cavity slider in.
To get the noise, it ain't
Well, then
work
that powder
for us.
room ain't working. So to me, hinge door, bring it back as far as possible that when it's at a 90-degree opening, it's just clearing the toilet. So every time that door is open, it's always concealing the toilet or the cistern. So you can never see it. And then always open that door onto your basin because that's your pretty thing. That's your jewelry of the room. That's the thing you want to see. That's the thing you can have a nice candle going.
And if you open the door, while it's open, what's the mirror showing you? Just the door.
The door.
It's hiding all of the sin of that toilet.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you have the nicest toilet out there. It's the visual connotation of what that is used for. That if your powder room is very close to your dining room or your living room, having that visual separation.
100%.
Where you're like, oh, that's just a little hand wash station.
Yep. Well, we haven't touched on it, but in powder rooms, and I know I'm going to get in trouble if I don't mention it because, again, counterpart, one of the interior designers I work with, shout out to Courtney, she's a huge fan of walking down a hallway, if you've got timber floorboards, for instance, and instead of a powder room being an area that combines the toilet and the basin, having a bathroom and a separate toilet, but then having like a shared vanity space.
Ooh.
So you've got a separate toilet, a separate door going off into your vanity and shower or bathroom as well, or like bath area as well. Then you have like a secondary vanity outside of that space. So it's kind of like a little...
It's like an airlock.
Yeah.
Almost like an airlock where you could essentially have
but the
3 people using that space.
100%. Yep.
using the toilet, someone using the bathroom, and then someone using the hand basin.
Yeah, and it's the perfect combination for like a family. I find it is the go-to family bathroom layout because, again, you've got someone having a shower, but they've got their own vanity so they can get dressed and get ready and do all of that in the bathroom. You've still got someone who can use the powder room. All they do is after they use the powder room, they can just use that basin in the shared vanity space. Again, a kid getting ready and they've got, you know, they're doing their hair or their makeup or they're brushing their teeth. They can still do all of that in this shared vanity space.
I'm thinking, could that even be the solution to a Jack and Jill bathroom? Rather than having access to the bathroom as a whole room, if you have access to that kind of interstitial
Shared
space, and then you've still got those other two rooms fully sectioned off.
Well, to me, I would just have two separate bedrooms and this family
Did
bathroom.
we talk about that last week, that Jack and Jill bathrooms, are they also a yay or a nay?
Oh, they're a nay for me.
They're a
I don't
nay.
think we did mention it, but
No.
they're a nay. I just get so panicky as someone staying there or a guest. I hate going into a bathroom and then having to lock two doors. A bathroom to me is a very private space. So if you want it as an ensuite, it's purely an ensuite. If you want it as a shared bathroom, that needs to be completely separated from bedroom spaces,
Agreed.
in my opinion.
I'm just trying to think what else we can talk about now. We've got our finishes are the same as our. You know what? Maybe we didn't talk a lot about mirrors last week in terms of the finish of mirrors.
Yeah. Mirrored
Something
cabinets,
we've been
fixed
playing
mirrors.
around with lately is a backlit, but then even potentially, instead of just having a clear mirror, and this might be something that you potentially don't want in a bathroom space because you want that kind of accuracy to find out what colour you're looking
I
at.
still want that in the powder room. I still want accuracy.
Yeah.
I don't mind a feature like bronze mirror or tinted mirror.
Or smoked grey.
Smoked grey in...
I think we usually use them for like wardrobe doors, don't
Yeah,
we?
wardrobe doors. I don't even mind like an entry foyer space. I don't mind like splashback in a kitchen, but like not...
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, it's not a splashback per se, but like a backing to like an open shelf.
That could also be a strong opinion.
I do want to touch on finishes in a powder room where you can be a little bit more experimental, I find, in a powder room, because this is, in my opinion, this is what guests are going to be seeing. This is your like wow moment. This is where you can kind of go, you know what? It's not as functional. I don't need to have a huge vanity with all the storage in it. This can be the creme de la creme. This can be wallpaper heaven. This can be VJ boards. This can be really different out there kind of tapware. This could be cool cabinetry. This could be an amazing stone that you're like, oh, I'm not brave enough to do like an emerald green stone in my bathroom because if I hate it, it's there forever. But you powder room. You can do something different.
To touch back on an inspiration gram from a few weeks ago, Mikaela, I'm going to show you the powder room from that Fowler and Ward Thornbury townhouses.
Oh.
The green on the wall is maybe a little bit overpowering.
But you know what?
But in balance with that terrazzo, that really fun...
Yeah.
It's almost like a 90s pattern terrazzo,
Yeah,
with those
love
huge, vibrant colours. Beautiful, like, wall sconcy light in the
Oh,
centre of this, like,
yeah.
big arched mirror.
Yep. Go crazy with the wall lights, the pendants, go crazy with the stone, do something different with the tapware. Why not? It's the
Because your
fun.
guests are going to walk in there and that's the room they're going to see. They're not going to be going into your master ensuite. That's just for you. Keep that private. But be the person that people go, did you see XX's bloody powder room?
Yeah. How many times, I don't know if this is like a designer thing or in the designer world, but how many times you go to like a commercial space or a restaurant and you're like, you have to go to the bathrooms.
Yes,
They look so cool. Like, let that be your powder room. And again, I hate to say it, but in like, say 5 years or 10 years time and you're like, okay, let's rethink the bright aqua or the bright fluoro orange
Smaller
powder
space
room.
to fix.
Smaller space to fix. And usually if you do things like wallpaper or paint, cheap fix. It's just paint. You can repaint it. You don't like it, repaint it. You're not ripping out an entire bathroom because you've changed your mind on the floor tile. Like, this is your time to shine.
Yeah, have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Have a bit of fun. Power and lighting. So we touched on maybe some sconce lighting. We can still do the same tricks from the laundry and the bathrooms last week. Bit of LED strip lighting. Potentially, you would also have your strip lighting maybe on a motion sensor.
Yep.
So if you
Or
guests
step
walk
lights.
step
Like
lights,
the wall
huge.
lights that I mentioned on a timer or even just a sensor every time you enter the space. It just like whoop, flicks on in the middle of the night. Love that.
would you be having power in a powder room?
I do.
What?
I've got GPO just for the simple fact that if someone's in the main bathroom and someone wants to do their hair or do their makeup, they can use the powder
I was
room.
thinking potentially even for accessories like a diffuser. Like you might have a diffuser going in your powder room for your guests when they come over.
Oh, okay. I'm a bit old school. I'm an old candle fan. But
Candle fan or your
or like
what are the incense like bottles with the reeds in it? That
a
like
diffuser.
Oh, I'm talking like powder diffuser.
Oh, like a reed. That's a reed diffuser.
Is that a reed diffuser?
Yeah.
See, I'm learning every week, guys.
Let's get the aromatherapy oils going.
I don't mind that from a use case though. If you need to go and straighten your hair and you are in a situation with kids where maybe
the old family, but if it's you've got that continuation of a corridor, you've got the family kind of vanity, open vanity design, you've got timber flooring kind of continuing through. Again, you can do something fun with that vanity and then keep it quite simple in the powder room and the main bathroom. Maybe go funky in that vanity space. That's where I'd put power. That's our kind of like central location.
Yeah, and you know what? If you're doing you could still do a shaving cabinet style mirror. So you've then got some storage in there. You could put the GPO on there. So if it is a really rare occasion, you're sorted from an electrical water proximity kind of point of view.
Yep.
If it does need to be used to help someone get ready, it's there. I think that's actually quite a good idea because for the cost of a PowerPoint, they're not that much. And it gives you that much more flexibility going forward. I mean, there is a point where, and we might touch on this when we do an electrical episode, there is a point where you probably need to look at it and say less is more. But
in our powder room, we've been here 4 years with that powder room. I think that PowerPoint may have been used twice. But guess what? It was used twice because it was there.
And those were important points to use it.
It was when, everyone was kind of getting ready and everyone just needed a mirror and a PowerPoint. Done. Easy.
I'm just thinking another potential layout option, which is a little bit sneaky when you're trying to maximize space if you're not quite hitting it, is sometimes you can do something we call saddle backing, where you can potentially recess your basin into the wall, and then on the other side of the wall, that might be where your bathroom is, and then you recess the vanity on that side as well. So when you're looking at it from a bird's eye view, you've got almost one continuous vanity but it's kind of snaked into the wall.
Yep.
That can help if you are quite tight on space, if you can't get
we do that same we do that same principle. Instead of having a bigger shared twin bathroom for 2 bedrooms, we'll usually do 2 small en-suites back to back.
Yep.
And that shares plumbing along that wall as well. So it's a efficient way to do a space. And in my opinion, I'd still, from a value point of view, or coming back if you are looking at just doing a renovation or you're looking at a build and you're trying to maximize your return, 2 very small bathrooms are still 2 bathrooms on paper.
100%.
So instead of having a huge, $40,000 bathroom with the bee's knees of everything, 2 smaller guest en-suites with basic finishes are still probably going to give you a bigger return.
That was something we were going through with the renovation at Ipswich, which, by the way, everybody listening, we should, at the time of recording, we should be finished this coming weekend.
Excited. Are we gonna be getting some photos
up
on the gram?
I've got some really good before and after photos. Put a story up, or I'll explain.
Yeah, 100%.
That was something we were tossing up. Was the existing configuration was a bathroom, but it wasn't really a bathroom. It was what we were saying, where you've got a shower over tub and a vanity. Was there a toilet there as well? I can't even remember.
It was a separate toilet.
Was there a...
Yeah,
I think so, because I only remember carrying one toilet out when I was doing the demo. So there was just a shower over bath and a vanity and a space for a toilet, but that's where they had the dryer, actually, because that's why the ceiling had mold everywhere, because they never opened the window and it just got humid in there.
Of course.
And then we had the separate toilet off where the laundry was, which now I'm thinking, why wasn't the dryer there? That's fine. We were kind of tossing up whether we just keep a separate powder room or if we build in a full ensuite off it. And I think that the numbers wise, the difference came down by the time we bought the extra fixtures and everything, and we paid for all the extra tiles and the plumbing and everything. And we did get quite lucky with supply of some of these things, and then having family members who were trades to help us out with it. But it was about a $5,000 exercise to turn what would have been just a standalone toilet into a full ensuite. And looking back on it now, I don't think I could have done it any other way. No. Like I 100% am here for it.
Oh yeah, and just adding an additional bathroom to a house is always going to be
in a meaningful way as well.
Yeah,
like it definitely made a result. And I'll share some of the photos of it because the one I'm most happy with is the ensuite because we did do that nib wall.
Yep. Even just a floor plan, I think, would be so beneficial of your existing floor plan.
Yeah.
And then your new floor plan. 100%
Agreed.
People are going to be like, whoa, you fit
Whoa.
all that in?
And
It's
the
amazing.
reason we're bringing this up in Powder Room Week was, I don't even, actually, you know what? There wasn't an existing powder room because you had to use the laundry sink to wash your hands.
Yeah.
Do you
Technically,
count that as a powder room?
oh, if they've provided
That's
somewhere
the
to wash
biggest
your
stretch.
hands,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Because
Okay.
you always find like butler's pantries / laundries.
Yeah.
It's technically a butler's pantry, even though it's a shared laundry sink.
Yeah.
Or even in a bathroom where they've got laundry facilities, but you're using the
technically a laundry, isn't it?
you're using the basin sink as your laundry sink.
Yeah.
They use one sink.
Well, there's a tip for you guys
Yeah.
playing along at home that you can, if you're really trying to maximize everything out, there's a way to kind of cheat it on paper, but your mileage may vary in terms of how effectively you can do that.
100%.
Well, Mikaela, I think that brings us to the end. Next week, we're going to look to kind of walk you through bedrooms and our wardrobes. There's a lot of great information there. We've already dropped a few things in terms of house hacks. Everybody at home, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did recording it. This is probably one of the funnest ones we've done so far. There's going to be a lot of laughing to edit out. If you've got any questions or queries, just send them through to us at Instagram at GrabTheTrace. If you can also take some time to rate, review, subscribe, and share, that would be immensely helpful. In terms of reviewing, Apple Podcasts lets you do written reviews and star reviews, so if you want to submit any of those, we'll read them out on the show. I'd also like to very much thank Robbie for the music that you're listening to now and we had at the top of the show. Mikaela, thank you very much for your time this week.
Thanks, Lockie.
And thank you everybody for listening. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.